Cal Kestis' story may be coming to an end, but the real question is this: will this finale truly become legendary, or will it close with a game that makes us say, it was good, but something was missing? Because if Star Wars Jedi 3 only comes with bigger planets, a few new enemies, and slightly more cinematic scenes, I do not think that will be enough. Survivor was good, yes, but it also showed us something. This series now needs deeper systems. Today, we are going to talk about 5 critical changes that could make Star Wars Jedi 3 truly unforgettable. Number 1. Planets need to be more meaningful. In Survivor, Kobo was a big planet, let's admit that. When we first landed, it really gave us the feeling of, okay, this time the world is bigger. But after a while, the same question came to mind. Is being big enough? I do not think so. Because a big map is one thing, but a full and meaningful map is something completely different. In the third game, I do not just want to see wide areas. I want every planet to have its own soul. When we land on a planet, it should truly feel different with its atmosphere, enemies, side stories, and secrets. A new color palette, new rocks, and new climbing walls are not enough. We need the feeling that a real story happened here. For example, exploration rewards should also be stronger. We enter a cave, move through it for a long time, and at the end, only a cosmetic piece comes out. Sometimes that is nice, but it is not always enough. Sometimes that exploration should tell us a character's past. Sometimes it should open a small side quest. Sometimes it should add something emotional to Cal's journey. In other words, exploration should not just be about opening chests. It should be about understanding the world. In short, Star Wars Jedi 3 should offer not bigger planets, but more meaningful planets. There can be wide areas like Kobo, but every corner should have a reason to exist. Because planets are not just backgrounds. In the Star Wars universe, planets are part of the story. Number 2. The dark side needs to demand a price. I think this is the most critical point of Jedi 3. Cal is no longer just a young Jedi trying to survive. He has lost a lot, seen a lot, and in Survivor, we clearly felt how dangerous his anger could be. So in the third game, the dark side should not remain just a cutscene issue. It should enter the gameplay, the story, and the character relationships. Personally, I would like to see Cal get closer to the dark side and use more aggressive powers, but there has to be a price for it. I do not want a power that is just press the button and destroy everyone, because in Star Wars, the dark side is never free. That was also what made Anakin's story special. He gained power, but in return, he lost himself. Cal needs a similar weight too. For example, if we use dark side abilities too much, Merrin should notice it, Kata should be scared, Grease should be worried. Some dialogue should change. Maybe in some missions, more ruthless solutions should open up while other paths close. That is when the player truly stops and thinks, I am using this power, but what am I turning Cal into? If this system is done correctly, Jedi 3 will not just be a good action game, it will turn into a much more personal story. Because in the finale, Cal's biggest fight may not be against the Empire, but against the anger inside himself. And if the game really makes us feel that, then this finale will become much more unforgettable. Number 3. The crew needs to be more active. One of the things that made the Star Wars Jedi series lovable was the people around Cal. BD-1 is already the heart of this series all by himself. Grease brings that warmth. And Merrin, in Survivor, was one of the strongest characters in the game in my opinion. But in the third game, this crew should not just be characters who appear in cutscenes. They should be more active inside the story and the gameplay. My expectations are especially high when it comes to Merrin, because Merrin's powers, character, and relationship with Cal give the game a completely different atmosphere. Doing missions with her, seeing her truly active in combat, and even progressing through some sections with her abilities could be really good. Just like Atreus in God of War is not just someone walking beside us, Merrin should feel the same way. Kata is also a huge opportunity for the third game. Her involvement in the story at the end of Survivor was not for nothing. I think Kata should not remain just a child who needs to be protected. We should see Cal and Merrin's influence on her. Maybe she has a connection to the Force. Maybe her trauma pulls her in a different direction. Maybe while Cal is fighting his own darkness, he also tries to show Kata the right path. If this crew system becomes deeper, the game will become much more emotional. If we could choose who to take with us on some missions, if the characters' reactions to us changed, if they actually helped in combat, that is when the Mantis crew would no longer just be decoration for the story. They would feel like a real family. Number 4. Combat needs to be more free. One of the best parts of Survivor was the stance system. Single blade, double bladed, dual wield, blaster stance, crossguard. Each one felt different. But to be honest, once the game shows you this, you want even more. Because if Cal can fight in so many different ways, Why does the game limit us to only 2 stances? In Jedi 3, the combat system should be more free. I think the player should be able to switch between more stances during combat. Using double-bladed against a crowd of enemies, then switching to crossguard against a powerful boss, and then returning to dual-wield for fast attacks would feel much more fluid. This would make us feel that Cal has truly mastered his skills. New stance ideas are also very exciting. There could be a reverse grip. There could be a more elegant, dual-focus stance in the style of Dooku. There could be different weapon forms like a lightsaber pike. In fact, if a Jedi combat form system is added, the player could choose not only which weapon they use, but also what kind of Jedi they fight like. This would make a huge difference. But the issue is not just more moves. The combat style should feel personal. Some players should play like a classic Jedi, calm and controlled. Some should create a more aggressive Cal who is closer to the dark side. Some should become a more practical fighter by mixing blaster and force powers. If Jedi 3 gives freedom here, every player's Cal could feel different. Number 5. Customization needs to go deeper. In Survivor, customization improved a lot compared to the first game. Hair, beard, outfits, lightsaber, BD1, these were nice. But in the third game, this needs to go one step further. Because customization is not just the question of, how should Cal look? The real question should be this: what kind of Jedi is my Cal becoming? For example, there should definitely be more Jedi robe, cloak, and hood options. I would like to see Cal truly look like a Jedi in the final game. But not everyone may want the same thing. Some players may want a darker, more warrior-like Cal. Some may want a more classic, hopeful Jedi appearance. The game should give us that space. On the lightsaber side, we also need more detail. Being able to choose different colors for 2 separate blades would be amazing. Kyber crystal details could be more visible, color options could be more free. In fact, the lightsaber should not just feel cosmetic, it should feel like a symbol that reflects Cal's journey. Because in Star Wars, a lightsaber is not an ordinary weapon. It is the character's identity. I think the best thing would be for customization, to connect with the story a little. As Cal gets closer to the dark side, his appearance, animations, or lightsaber usage could slowly change in small ways. The player should make choices not only because they look cool, but because they say, my Cal is going down this path. That is when customization would not just be a system where we spend time in menus, it would connect to the soul of the character. So what do you think should be the most important change in Star Wars Jedi 3? More meaningful planets, the real price of the dark side, Merrin and Kata taking on bigger roles, a freer combat system, or a much deeper customization system? But the real thing I am curious about is this. How do you think Cal Kestis' finale will end? Will he survive and create a new Jedi path, or will this story close with a tragic ending? Make sure to write it in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video. Take very good care of yourselves.